What is up, Nickel City
Ah,
Mafia?
let's go.
Oh man, the smoke is still clearing from that explosion. So let's give it a second here. Yeah, we're on the eve of the big game tomorrow night, Monday Night Football. Bills home opener against the Tennessee Titans. I know Jake will be there, and also our winner of the last giveaway will be there as well. We're going to get into a lot of stuff, so much to talk about. But let me introduce, as always, my co-host on the side here is Jake Podger. Jake, how you doing, buddy?
Mike, never been better. I know I say that every show, but every day is the best damn day of my life. And especially during football season, you can't beat it. I'm ready to go. I sent you a picture earlier. I mean, it's, typical vehicles around Buffalo, but you see so many, right around game time, you have a ton of people that are tailgating days before. They say tailgating doesn't technically open until Sunday. Well, there's been people tailgating near the stadium and the RV lot and whatnot for the last couple of days. So I know everyone's ready. You can feel the buzz around the city. Everyone's mood is great. I went to the grocery store today. I mean, people are just ready. They're buzzing, and it's a home opener. How could you get any better?
I
You know.
know, I know. It's so exciting. And then
Cheers.
also joining us, there's nobody cooler than Mr. Sean Kula. Sean,
That's
welcome,
pretty good.
Mr. From the Red, White, and Bills, our good friend Sean. Sean, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing wonderful. It's always a pleasure to be here. I'm glad that you guys were able to switch the time and make it late. I didn't even realize that I was at work, and I was like, oh, it's about to be 11 o'clock. I better check in. And then I was like, oh, it says 9 o'clock. Maybe I'll hit Mike up and see what's going on. So it worked out
Yeah,
perfect for me because I worked and it was my son's third birthday today. So
Oh, happy
got
birthday!
to,
Cheers to him.
yeah,
happy
it
birthday,
was a
little
good
man.
day. It was nice. I still can't believe he's 3 years old, but
That's great.
ever since he's been born, the Bills have been very good. So he must be the luck
Good,
charm.
good luck, charm. Love it. Yeah, so life got in the way this morning. I had to reach out to Jake. Said, Jake, got to cancel the early one. Can we reschedule tonight? He said, yeah. And then that worked out perfectly for you as well to join us. So good stuff there. Before we get into all the good details about this upcoming game, we got an amazing giveaway still going on. We're 2 weeks away from announcing the winner. We got Sunday night tickets to the Packers versus Bills, plus parking October 30th, the eve of Halloween. You're going to see some fun things there, as well as an amazing game. I mean, this is from our friends, our good friends over at Gorilla Garage Gear, Triple G, as I've been calling them. I noticed that Tony on our golf show picked that up as well. He's like, man, it's say Gorilla Garage Gear like 5 times fast. It's hard to
Yeah,
do.
right.
He's like, let's go with Triple G. Hopefully they're okay with that. But man, I'll throw it to you. Talk a little bit about Gorilla Garage Gear, and we'll play the little clip about them, and then we'll get into the show.
Of course, yeah. Well, being in Buffalo, Mike, I mean, we have every single season under the sun, and just when you think it's going to get warm again, you get that one last snowstorm. So it's very unpredictable, and not only that, but just concrete in general. I mean, a lot of times, I mean, we have an issue right now already in our garage. We have tons of cracks, and sometimes it just looks plain ugly. And you want to showcase some of your nicer items and whatnot. Maybe you have some vintage vehicles, or you just want a nice surface. Something that looks a little bit better and withstands the test of time. So I'll say this. I stand by Gorilla Garage. My parents actually had their whole entire garage redone. It looks beautiful. On top of that, they gave them the storage, that you hang on the walls, and it keeps everything really nice and organized. And especially for me, you see how much stuff I got behind me here. You can only imagine what my garage looks like. So I'm going to have to hit them up and get some storage items for my garage as well. But it's great, not just for garages too, Mike, with the flooring thing. You can do your basement, you can do, whatever, showcase rooms, all that good stuff. And they actually have Buffalo Bills colors, and they've actually done a Buffalo Bills logo in someone's house as well, which is kind of cool. So shout out to them. Yeah, we really appreciate it. They do everything from floors to, storage on walls and garage doors as well. They just got into that business too. So lots of good things from them, and appreciate the hell out of them for doing this giveaway. Again, it's 2 tickets to that Sunday night game against the Packers at the day before Halloween at home. I mean, you can't beat that. 2 goats going up against each other, Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers. Are you kidding me? Also, they have their own parking lot. I mean, that's pretty cool. They got a truck parked out in front. You'll see it tomorrow. If you're going to the game, you'll probably walk right by it. It's right on Allen Street, right on the corner of Allen Street, Josh Allen Street, I should say, and Abbott Road. So they got the truck parked out in front. They have their little ice cream shop in front there too, and they do a great job over there. So yes, shout out to them and appreciate the hell out of them.
Yeah, ever since we started the giveaway, we've seen a few folks now say. I know Brian Label said he had them do his garage. I know your dad's had him do his garage, and then I think there's a couple others out there that just gave a shout out to Gorilla Garage Gear. So good stuff.
Absolutely.
Let's play a little clip here, and let's go. Hold on one sec.
Shout out to
Nothing beats a Gorilla Garage floor, the ultimate floor coating system. Our secret ingredient, a slow cure solid epoxy mortar used to repair and prime the surface. Then we grind it, vac it, coat, color, scrape, and seal it. And with dozens of colors to choose from, your Gorilla Garage floor is the toughest on the market. Visit GorillaGarageGear.com or call 715-6927.
Go, go, Gorilla!
Absolutely love that commercial.
Every time.
Fantastic. Gets me all the time. So great stuff here. I think you were about to give a shout out to someone. I cut you off.
Yeah, I was just saying, shout out to Raj. He said Jake with the Labatt Blue. So Raj, we are actually open. If you know anyone at Labatt, I typically have one or two of these per show. So, I would love to endorse their products as well. I stand by them as well. Got me through some hard times with the Bills. So, yes, cheers to you, sir. And, just really excited to be doing this again.
I see Big Al out there. Good to see you, Big Al. Darren Salvaggio. I hope I'm saying your name. First time I think I'm seeing your name. So welcome to the channel. And do you know Darren?
I don't. Darren, I do have a question for you, though. So I've seen you in the comments. Appreciate the hell out of you for doing that and, commenting on our shows and whatnot. But are you related to Fran? Because Fran is awesome, and she is one of my favorite people in the world. Don't know if you're an uncle. I don't think her dad's name is Darren. But if you are, just, throw it in the comments there. That'd be pretty cool. I know she's pretty awesome. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, and then we got my dad out there, Raj, and then Troy Gregory Media. Troy's out here.
Wow. Troy, of course, joining after.
You know why he's out here, right? He's going to brag about the Dolphins, and he's – yeah, man, we'll get into that towards the end of the show.
Yeah.
Because we play them next week, don't we?
We got to get through the Titans first. But, we're going to be going up against the 2-0 Big Bad Dolphins the following Sunday. And I will be there for that as well.
I know. That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get into it. Let's talk about some of the injuries that have come up. I mean, we felt like we came out of that first game against the Rams pretty good, but now some weird things have happened. We knew Ed Oliver was hurt. Didn't feel like I didn't think he was going to miss this game, but obviously he is out. That's a big hit to us. Yeah. Dane Jackson was questionable. Dane Jackson had some freak accident in practice this week. And at first, when it happened, I listened to one of other shows that actually was able to interview Dane Jackson. When it first happened, he thought it was a lot worse. Like this could have been weeks, months type of injury. I believe now that I feel like he's going to be playing. I don't know if you guys have more news. Just let me know after I get through these. Tim Siddle is doubtful, although he was in full practice gear on Saturday during the media viewing portion, which is kind of interesting. And somebody asked him, and he said, hey, I'm ready to go if I'm asked to. But he is doubtful. And how often do you see a doubtful person play, come the next day? So I don't expect to see him. Gabe Davis, he had a freak accident on a non-contact drill this week, tweaks his ankle. He was questionable. I believe I saw today that he's been moved to doubtful. And I don't know if you guys have heard that as well. But he could be out. And I think, Jake, you sent me something about Khalil Shakir. Could be his time to get in there.
Absolutely.
And let's see here. Did you guys hear that about Gabe Davis? Because I looked on ESPN. They still had him as questionable, but I know I read something that he was.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, Mike. Usually when you have an ankle injury, when you have an ankle injury too as a receiver, I mean, just you lack explosiveness. Even if he does play, will he have that much of an impact anyways? Probably not. You're better off putting a guy in. Khalil Shakir was a healthy scratch last week. I know he's a fifth-round rookie, but we saw how much of a pro he already looks like. So I say give the young kid a chance. We'll be okay without Gabe. Would love to have him, obviously. I had already a bet out there that he was going to score the first touchdown, so a little upset about that. But, we'll cash it out and save some money.
With both Oliver and Settle out, I've been hearing rumors that they might activate Brandon Bryant from the practice squad for this game. So that's a possibility. We'll wait and see what we hear on that. For the Titans, they have a couple of big injuries as well. Cornerback Christian Fulton, their starter, is out. So they're going to be starting Caleb Farley, which he was their first round pick in
21.
pick, 22nd overall in 2021. In his first game that he got to start, he tore his his anterior cruciate, hopefully I said
ACL.
that right, ligament in his left knee.
Yep.
And season was over. So he's returning from that injury, sort of like Trey White's going to be returning from his big injury. So we got him out there, and you're going to have another rookie over there, Roger McCreary. So interesting how we have young corners. They're going to have young corners. And of course, running back Dontrell Hilliard is out. He had a nice game from them last week. The big loss there. And then their tackle, Jamarco Jones, is out. He's not their starter, but a depth guy. Anyone I missed, guys, that you've heard of?
I think you nailed it, Mike. That's pretty good. Yeah. Great work there.
So talk to me about those injuries. I mean, concerns. Let's start with the Bills. Not having Oliver, not having Settle against Derrick Henry.
Sure.
I mean, the game. This team has run on us so well the last two times we've played them. Give me your thoughts, Jake, and not having those two guys.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any game you want to have your interior D line healthy, completely healthy, I should say. I mean, it's probably this one. The past few years, we've had just absolute black and blue matches with the Titans. It's been a physical game, and they've gotten the best of us a few times. It always shows up. I'm surprised I haven't seen it already. Because I guess maybe Josh Allen put that meme to rest, but you always see the stiff arm meme of him, Derrick Henry on Josh Norman from a few years back. So glad I haven't seen too much of that, but it is always a reminder that they are a physical team. Yeah, they're the base of the team is I guess sort of remain the same in some ways, but yeah, I mean, Derrick Henry, he's still a beast. They have lost some players, but they have a very physical team still. You saw it last week. I mean, the Giants seem to hold Derrick Henry in check. He only averaged 3.9 yards a carry, but that guy is a guy that can get out. Once he gets out in the open, he becomes like an Olympic sprinter, Mike. So I think the most ideal situation is just to stuff him at the line. So not having those interior defensive linemen, being not totally healthy there is certainly not the best thing in the world. But I do have a lot of faith in Daquan Jones. I think, going against his former team too, I mean, he's got some extra motivation, of course, and he played a great game last week. And then you got some other guys too that can rotate in. Jordan Phillips, he's primed to have another big day too. So pretty pumped about that. If Brandon Bryant, we bring him up to the practice squad too. I'm very confident in him. He played extremely well in the preseason. He has some experience playing in regular season games as well. So I'm not terribly worried about it. I mean, they would be nice to haves, and especially with a guy like Ed Oliver, who is, in my opinion, already a top 5 D tackle in the league. I mean, that's a tough loss. And then, of course, Tim Settle, who has unlimited potential. I don't think he's even gotten a fraction of where he's going to be in the future. I mean, just sitting behind those first-round picks in Washington really hasn't been able to showcase his talent. But we saw a little bit of that during the preseason and then the Rams game last week. But I think we'll be okay, but certainly a little bit concerning, I guess you could say, just because you're missing those top-tier guys.
Yeah, thankfully we added some nice depth, right? You just talked about him, Jordan Phillips and Daquan Jones. Well, Daquan Jones is a starter there, but it's good to have it. Can you imagine if this was last year and we were without our two top interior guys? Let me throw it to you, Sean. Concerns here?
Like I always say, the main concern when playing Derrick Henry for us is trying to arm tackle like high school football players. And we had Ed Oliver last year, and he is a top 5 tackle in my opinion, but it didn't, change the game at all last year. And that's only because it was about the arm tackling. It wasn't about, who was on the interior defensive line or not. It was because we weren't able to wrap up, and then the linebackers didn't wrap up, and then the safeties didn't wrap up, and then they were afraid to hit the holes. Edmonds was afraid to tackle Henry. Milano wasn't even, his same old self trying to hit the holes before him. It's more of a, can you hit him first? Are you going to wrap up his legs to stop him from moving? Because like you guys said, we got the purpose of this rotation is because we have such a huge talent base at the defensive line. Jordan Phillips is going to step up. He's 6'6", 340. Daquan Jones is a beast too. Boogie Basham's a beast. These guys are all going to be hungry to tackle, hungry to play. So I'm not, it's nice to have Oliver, like you said, Jake, but rest him up and let the depth do the work. That's why we have it. That's why we don't just have four starters and then don't rely on anyone else. So it's mainly just, can you wrap up? Because we got the talent all around. It's just, you got to be in the right position. You can't be afraid. because like they're the most physical team out there, and they're going to be physical every week, especially against us, because they know that we're not the most physical team. But maybe we can turn that page this year and out physical them on both sides of the ball.
And they're pissed from losing last week in such a close matchup against the Giants too. So they're going to be bringing it. So
yeah, that's what the Giants did well. I watched that game in its entirety 3 different times, and then I watched all 22. Quite a bit of it. And the Giants were just plugging the holes, and they what was his name? I think number 48 on the Giants. He flung Henry in the air and made him fly 20 yards to the right.
Yeah, was that Tate Crowder?
Yeah, so yep. They weren't afraid to hit, and they were aggressive. And yeah, Henry got 80 yards rushing, but he had like 27 carries. So
yeah,
kept him out of the end zone. Hilliard was the guy in my pregame show that I mentioned. This was before he was out, but he scored 2 touchdowns receiving for them, and he's a weapon. But now it's just going to be Henry, and so I think it's just wrap him up and be physical.
Well, I don't want you to sleep on Hassan Haskins either. I know we're talking about Derrick Henry and playing him up quite a bit too. So there's another guy they got. He's a rookie, Hassan Haskins out of Michigan. Hassan Haskins. Yeah. I'll tell you what, he's a nice 1-2 punch, and I think you're going to see a lot more involvement, obviously, from him tomorrow as well. But that's a guy to look out for too. So you still have Derrick Henry to worry about, but then you got another guy who's 6 foot 230 himself. So you got 2 physical runners like that.
Yeah, there's some changes to their offensive line, which I think is going to help us as well. We'll talk about that in a second. Before we get there, I wanted to talk a little bit about the weather. I mean, holy cow. I mean, Monday night, I love Sean. Sean was like, my goodness, could we not get a nice day with the home opener, Monday Night Football with rain coming in? But last I looked, and again, you never know with the weather. Last I looked, I was looking at an hourly forecast. The rain's supposed to be done before game time. Hope that's the case. I know last year there was... that kind of levels the playing field. If you're trying to catch fastballs from Josh Allen in the rain, oh my goodness. It is extremely tough. I'm not worried about Josh throwing the ball. And Sean, you said this on your show as well. It's catching it. And being at the Rams game and just seeing, I had just such a perfect view. Seeing those fastballs that Allen throws is like, oh my God, these receivers got to be on it. So concerns about the rain, again, we won't know until sometime tomorrow. But right now the forecast is looking in our favor. Now, if it does rain, I feel, again, that's an edge for them. That's just my thoughts there. What do you guys think about that?
I would say, based on history, it's certainly an edge for them. I think they come in being known as a more physical team, but something that we really, and I've mentioned this, I think I mentioned this every show, Mike, Aaron Cromer. This guy, he breeds intense linemen. This guy, he'll bring the best out of that offensive line group. And I think interior-wise, we've gotten so much better already with Roger Saffold. Now, Ryan Bates, he struggled a little bit last game, and me and Sean were actually talking about this. We were going back and forth a little bit, saying how PFF had him at like a 9 or something for his rating. I don't really – listen, I respect what PFF does, but I put more stock in this sort of my own eye test, and that sounds very cocky and stuff. I don't claim to be an expert or anything like that, but I claim to know a little bit about the game, right? So I think he had his moments during the game where, obviously he was beat pretty bad, but also, you're going up against a guy named Aaron Donald, so it's not going to be exactly the easiest thing in the world either at times. So it's going to be a rebound game for him, but you do have another guy on the other side of the ball named Jeffrey Simmons, who is an absolute stud. He had 2 sacks last week with the Titans, and that guy's a freak of nature. He's definitely their best defensive lineman by far. But I think from an interior aspect, we are a much more physical team than we were last year. I would like to see some more interior running. I think Devin Singletary can get it done. He showed last week how good he is. He averaged 6 yards a carry. I think you give him the ball a little bit more. I know Zach Moss is like the default guy to give the ball to in those situations, but Devin Singletary, man, let's give him some more carries. I would like to see what he can do. Give him about 12 to 15 carries. I think that's the sweet spot for him. Last week it was 6, so let's at least double the workload.
So Jake's breaking down the rest of the show already. I asked him a simple question.
I'm sorry.
What's your concern about the rain?
I just keep going. The concern about the rain, and that's what I was getting to. That's what I was getting to, Mike. As far as the physicality goes, the Titans were known as the physical team, but I think tomorrow we're going to show just how physical we are up front as well. And, we're going to give Josh Allen some time, too. I do think he's going to have some time to throw the football. Obviously, the winds are going to be something to take into account. You have Josh Allen throwing the ball and potential 20-mile-per-hour winds, which isn't even a fraction of what it was last season when we played New England, and it was like 67-mile-per-hour winds or whatever it was. So, obviously, a bit of a not super. I think it said 10 to 20 miles per hour, but I'm going to go with the fact that it's, in that stadium, it gets a little more windy. So I'll say 20 miles per hour. Does the rain affect us? Maybe a little bit. It is tough probably catching a Josh Allen fastball in the rain like that, but I like the underneath stuff. I think Jamison Crowder is going to have a big day, as my dad mentioned too. I could see him having like 8 catches for 89 yards, maybe a tutter. But up front, physicality-wise, I think we're winning that battle. Because outside of Jeffrey Simmons, I don't see a whole lot of – the Titans are kind of thin there other than him. And, on the edge, you're also missing Harold Landry too. You do have Bud Dupree still, but, he's been banged up over the last few seasons. He did have a pretty nice game last week, but I think our offensive line is going to really show up and dominate.
All right, Sean, what about you? Concerns about the rain? Are you with Jake? Not too worried?
A little bit. Just but it goes for both. That goes for both sides because it's about ball security issue. Because we fumbled the ball twice. Technically, you could say 3 times because McKenzie kind of fumbled it when he went to go catch the ball in a dome. So when it's raining and wet and you're getting hit by Jeffrey Simmons or someone like that, you got to really hold on to that football because that could in that Patriots game when Breida fumbled in the red zone, that could have been the game right there because we lost. Yeah. It was like 10-9 or 9-6 or some dumb. I don't even remember the dumb score, but. That's what happens in those kind of games. You got to be able to hold on to the football. And as Mike said, Allen can throw. I went to the game against the Texans when it was pouring rain the whole entire time. Allen was throwing dots all around the field. He could throw in the wind. He could throw in the snow. He could throw anywhere. So that's not the concern. It's just the receivers weren't catching the ball in that Patriots game. They were able to catch the ball a little bit in the Texans game. They had a lot of nice plays, but you got to be can't let the weather affect you. But ball security is the only thing I'm concerned with the running backs, just because of how Moss fumbled and James Cook fumbled. And like I said, with the rain, it might not make a difference, but it's got to make sure we don't give them more possessions and more chances to keep up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk a little bit about the changes from the Titans last year. Are they the same team that we faced last year? Well, a couple differences on their offense, right? They have Saffold, who was a starter at left guard and now on the Bills. Replacing him is Aaron Brewer. He's an undrafted free agent in 2020. Saffold was huge last year's game. He placed that block on Edmonds to give Henry that 3rd touchdown. And then Questenberry, right tackle for them, started last year, and now he's on our team. And replacing him is Tennessee's 3rd-round pick this year in 2022, Mr. Nicholas Petit-Frere. Hope I said that.
That's pretty good, right. Mike. That was very good. I was going to see how you pronounce that. That's a great job.
We'll see. So right there, huge difference. You got 2 young guys, and there's a saying, if you can't beat them, join them. So what did we do? If you can't beat them, have them join your team. So we went out and got Saffold and Questenberry. So let's go. That's a big change right there. And that's where I think we were talking about that defensive line. We're a little concerned that we don't have Oliver, but we have great depth, and they can really take advantage of these young guys. And I think you saw that last week in the game, and that's why they were able to keep Henry under 100 yards. So what's your thoughts there, Sean?
They're definitely a totally different team in more than one way. But I'm going to also say I'm going to bring the Cincinnati Bengals into this conversation too, because they spent like $70 million on the offensive line with very good quality starters, and they're 0-2 and they look terrible and they can't protect Joe Burrow. So then when you're the Titans and you lose quality starters and replace them with no names or people who haven't proven themselves yet, that's even probably worse. And with the film I watched and watching the Giants play, and anyway, number 55, I don't remember his name, the left guard who replaced Saffold, is a liability. So, Taylor Lewan's right next to him, but he didn't look that great either. So you got a beat up, not that great offensive line trying to block for Henry. That does matter because Henry's great, but if there's no holes open for him, he's just going to run into a wall and get tackled. So they're definitely different in that aspect. And then you got Robert Woods coming off ACL injury, and then you got Kyle Phillips and Treylon Burks, 2 rookies, and there might be one other rookie on the receiving core. So you lose AJ Brown, who was the best receiver that you probably ever going to have. So they're very different. And Landry's injured for the season. That makes it different too. So I say a very different team than last year. Still a decent team, but definitely different.
Yeah, that wide receiver core. I mean, think about it. Last year, they had Julio Jones, who actually played in that game. I know he was hurt most of the year, but he played in that game, had that weird long catch off of Micah.
And he got hurt in that game, right?
I think he might have got dinged up.
Yeah.
But then you had A.J. Brown, and they let him go. I mean, think about the Titans. I don't know why this is, but go back about 3 years. They let Corey Davis go. They let tight end Jonnu Smith go. And then they trade A.J. Brown. I mean, I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure why they didn't want to keep these guys. But A.J. Brown, he went out week 1 and just killed it for Philly. I don't know what he did this week. I haven't looked at his stats.
He plays tomorrow while we're playing.
Tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, big difference, like you said, Sean. I mean, we're going against these young guys. Robert Woods, not the Robert Woods we've known, not the Robert Woods who played for us, not the Robert Woods of a few years ago coming off that big injury. So definitely, I mean, it's going to help. We got our young corners out there who held their own against the Rams. But Jake, I mean, talk to me. I mean, I see that we can take an advantage in some of these cases here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. We're talking about all these former Titans and Bills playing against each other here. So you look at the difference makers from last year, Harold Landry being one of those. We already mentioned him a little bit. Like, he was a huge game changer in that game. I mean, he had pass deflections, he had sacks. I mean, he was giving Spencer Brown about all he could handle. So he's out. So that's big. You still have Bud Dupree on the edge. You also have the Nico Autry, who I really like. He was signed by the Colts. Pretty good player there too, but not Harold Landry caliber, so definitely, I think got weaker on the edge. So that's certainly a good thing. You still have Jeffrey Simmons in the middle. He's a really good defensive tackle. I mean, he's going to have a couple of good battles. I'm really intrigued to see how Mitch Morse and those interior guys handle him. That definitely is one of the biggest difference makers on that defense. So he's going to be someone to definitely key in on. I encourage you to watch those matchups. I love watching the trenches. Sean, I know you're a big trenches guy. That is going to be fun to watch. I mean, you just love seeing good caliber players go at it, one-on-one like that. And maybe we double them, maybe we don't. And then we took one of their guys, Roger Saffold. So, I mean, he was a big difference maker last year, and listen, we held Derrick Henry in check for the most part. He had that one long run, which sort of inflated his stats. I think other than that, he would have only maybe had about 40 some odd yards. He was only averaging like 2 yards a carry at the time, but he had one longer run that sort of, inflated the stats a bit. So I look to see us do the same thing this year, with the lack of having a guy like Roger Saffold. You're a little bit younger up front. Yeah, you still have Nate Davis and Ben Jones on the inside, who are very good players, have been pretty good over the last few years, but I think they definitely got weaker on both sides of the line, offense and defense. And then we talked about the receivers a little bit too, Mike. A.J. Brown, that guy is irreplaceable. I mean, he is the best receiver to be on the Titans since Derek Mason. And I'm really dating myself with that one. I mean, Derek Mason last played with the Titans back in 2004, 2005, around that time period. So, yeah, I mean, that guy, you can't replace him. I mean, you have Treylon Burks, who you're hoping is like a shell of him, and, did okay week 1. I think he had 40-some-odd yards. You have Robert Woods, who has been banged up. He's definitely not the same player he was a couple of years ago, especially having an ACL injury, this late in his career. That's tough. I think this is the second time he's done it, too. So that certainly hurts. I'm not saying they're not going to be threats, but just comparing this team to last year's team, it looks, at least on paper and how it should play out, that we should be a lot better. And we were a Josh Allen slip away from winning that game last season. So my dad was actually at that game. I feel bad for all the Bills fans that traveled out to Nashville. So hopefully we get some revenge tomorrow.
Yeah, if we want to just quickly recap last year's game, of course we lost 34-31. And, Henry ran for, what did Henry have? I think he had like
78 or something maybe?
Well, no,
or was it lower than that?
He ran for, let me give you the number here. So he ran for 143 yards. Of course, he had that 176-yarder, right?
That's what it was. He had a 76-yard run, yeah.
And 3 touchdowns. And again, like I talked about, Saffold was a big key in that final touchdown that gave them the lead. The Bills got off to a slow start. I mean, they were in the red zone twice in the first half, and they only got 2 field goals. So they're up 6-0. They kick the ball off, and Henry breaks that 76-yarder. So just like that, at a blink of an eye, the game changed at that point. And then it was back and forth. And our offensive line was terrible. I mean, if you watch that game, I actually watched that game the other day, the replay, and my God, Josh Allen was just scrambling for his life. I mean, it's not an easy task taking on Jeffrey Simmons, like you guys have already mentioned. I will say this about Jeffrey Simmons. He is probably number 2 next to Aaron Donald. I know we love Ed Oliver, but he's number 2, and he's been closing the gap every year. So just a monster. We kind of handled, I don't want to say handled Aaron Donald, but we kept him at bay for the most part. And so as long as we can do the same thing, we might have success there. Davis Long, right? Davis Long for them. Linebacker. David Long, sorry.
Yep.
David Long had a huge game for them if you watch that game. He had a huge game. It was all over the place. He's still there. Bud Dupree is looking pretty good into this year. So
they got a safety of their own too, named Kevin Byard, who I still believe is not respected enough. I mean, he's almost in that same category that Jordan Poyer is. Kevin Byard is unbelievable. I remember Deion Sanders went at him a couple of years ago, saying that he wasn't as good as everyone was making him out to be, and he kind of clapped back a little bit at Deion, and I think he's proven Deion wrong because that guy he's unbelievable. I mean, he really is. He's a hell of a safety, and they have a nice situation there with both him and Amani Hooker. So sort of similar to us, right? I don't think they're as strong up front and with the linebackers and the corners. Corners are young too, very similar situation to us. But as far as the safeties go, both Amani Hooker and Kevin Byard, I mean, those guys are both very good ball players. Kevin Byard is probably number 2 or 3 as far as safeties go too.
Yeah, Sean, you were talking about him. He always seems to make plays against us, right?
He always makes at least one. He's always right there.
Yeah, and then that was also the game. I think they had just taken the lead 34-31, and I believe McKenzie, it was on that one. He ran it back for a touchdown and got called back because of a holding call on Andre Smith, right? Yeah. So there was just so much going on there, but good game. And I don't know, these two teams just they whipped us pretty good a couple years ago. So let's get into the key matchups, and then I'm going to start with Sean. And Sean, give me your key matchup, and then tell me how you see the Bills winning this game. What's the path to victory, and what's the path to victory for the Titans?
Well, I'm not gonna say all the key matchups because I know I don't want to take them from Jake, even though he takes them from me a lot.
I always steal yours. You go right ahead, Sean.
But no, it's definitely just the interior O-line against Jeffrey Simmons and Bud Dupree, because those are the 2 playmakers now besides Kevin Byard, and you could say that we handled AD because we did. We held him to 2 pressures and a sack out of 31 pass attempts. So that we did exactly what played to Aaron Donald's strength: quick passes, get the ball out quick, double team him. They had no answer for that, and that's not because he's not a great player or anything, but we schemed to their best player, and it worked out. So I expect something similar with handling Jeffrey Simmons. Of course, he's going to make plays, but I always say limit, because it's impossible to make them have zeros on the stat sheet. But I seen someone say that I was on some football show that the Titans are going to win because they won last year, and there was no credibility to it, no actual facts backing it up, just because they beat us last year, and that's kind of annoying to hear, because even though we lost, we were a better team than them last year, and I think we did prove it that game. But they're a shell of the team they were last year. They don't have the same offensive line. They got a lot of injuries on defense, rookie corners, rookie wide receivers. You still got Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. Yeah, Mike Vrabel's a good coach, but I mean, Sean McDermott's a great coach also. And we have a great defense, new improved defensive line. You got Von Miller there against Taylor Lewan. Taylor Lewan gave up 5 sacks to Chandler Jones last year. So
yeah, he said it was the worst day of his life.
Yeah. And then another key matchup I got is just the linebackers on the running backs, because we see it too much that you got these big 260-pound grown men that are 6'4", too scared to hit someone. Like, you got to be able to. I seen people that were 80 pounds throwing their whole body into someone and drilling them in high school. And I know it's high school, but these are grown men playing a grown man's game. You got to want to hit them first and hit them harder, because Henry will just run over you. And he's done it. And we also have held Henry to pretty bad games in our time against him. So linebackers got to have a big day against the running backs.
All right, so tell me what's the path to victory for the Bills, and then what's the path to victory for the Titans? How do the start with the Titans? How do the Titans going to beat us if they do?
Well, the Titans got to get pressure on Josh, and even though it's weird to say because he thrives when he gets pressured also, but when he gets pressured, sometimes that's when you're on the run making a throw. Sometimes it's not the most accurate throw, even though he can make them, and that's where Kevin Byard might come in and jump a route, or a tip pass might come in and Kevin Byard's back there waiting. So keep Josh clean, and they're going to have to run the ball, because I don't think that their receiving core is going to be able to stack up against our secondary. So they got to be able to run the football if they want to beat us, and they got to get to Josh, get a couple sacks, and keep him in, pressure him, but keep him in the pocket like we did with Mahomes that one game in the regular season. Because if you keep him in the pocket and you pressure him and he can't go anywhere, then that's when quarterbacks might make a mistake. Now, they might not make a lot of mistakes, but a game might be one turnover can decide a game. So that's what they would have to do to beat us, I think. And for us, we just got to wrap up, play great defense, and then attack those corners, attack that secondary. And, of course, handle Jeffrey Simmons in the defensive line and Bud Dupree.
Gotcha. I do want to see. I say Puka the third out there. I haven't seen Puka before, and it just reminds me. I always forget to say this. I feel like all these folks are part of the channel already. But if you're new to the channel, please comment, like, and most importantly, drop a nickel on that subscribe button for us. And then when you're done, get over to the Red, White, and Bills and smash that subscribe button for them as well. So, Jake, I'll throw the same question over to you. Key matchups that you're looking at, and then path to victory for the Bills, path to victory for the Titans.
Of course. Yeah, I think, Sean, you hit the nail right on the head. Thank you for taking a couple of good points away from me, but I'm going to elaborate a little bit. I think our O-line versus their D-line, I think they're a little bit more thin at D-line. Let's play their game. Let's smack them right in the mouth, as Pat McAfee would say, right in the mouth with that Pittsburgh accent. Let's work it up front. Let's get some interior run game going. Let's have them bite on some fakes, do some nice play action. Maybe then you can catch them sleeping, get a deep play in the mix somehow. I think the underneath stuff is going to be wide open all day tomorrow. I think Jamison Crowder is going to have an exceptional game. And I feel good about Stephon Diggs against one of these young corners. I mean, you have Caleb Farley, who we already talked about a little bit. Roger McCreary, who I really liked actually coming into the draft process. He was their second-round pick. Then you got a kid named Ugo Amadi, who's their nickel corner, who I definitely think Jamison Crowder is going to have his way with tomorrow. So I like that matchup the best, the slot corner versus Jamison Crowder. I think he's going to take full advantage of that. He's going to eat up. Maybe we'll see some involvement with Khalil Shakir. Obviously, Isaiah McKenzie, I would like to see him in the mix quite a bit, run some trick plays with him. We can do a whole lot, and I know Ken Dorsey's got something cooking. But I look to see Devin Singletary have a pretty nice game himself. We're going to be very physical up front. There's no doubt about it. I think we want to make up for years past, and especially Aaron Cromer. If he has any say in the game plan, he's going to have those guys licking their chops, and they're going to be running the football very effectively, which I know no one wants to hear because it's not a fun thing to talk about. But when you run the ball well, when you're efficient like that, it does open up the pass game a little bit. And it's such a cliche thing to say, but I do think that's something that's going to be very valuable tomorrow, especially with however the weather may be. And I know, it's going to be a very interesting thing. I have no worries about Josh throwing the football in the weather. He's got monster hands. He looks great in shorts also. We'll be just fine with that. I think Sean made a good point where it's just a matter of the receivers actually catching the football and obviously ball security across the board. So the path to victory obviously is play their game and win in the trenches. And secondly, hit the underneath stuff and then take advantage of those rookie or younger corners that they have.
Absolutely.
And then from them.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, what were you saying?
Let me just say quick, because Z-Bell said the O-line needs to step up. Don't underestimate the Titans' defensive line at all. I don't think they're going to underestimate their defensive line because that's obviously their strong suit of their team on their defense because linebackers are so, 2 rookie corners, and you got pretty good safety tandem. But I don't think they're going to come in there thinking they're just going to walk all over them. But I think what they're going to do is they're going to try to do the same game plan with Aaron Donald. You got to find the best player on that defensive line, keep him away from the plays. If you got to do quick passes, majority of the time, that's what you got to do. That's how you win football games. You got to out scheme and outsmart the other side. So I think that's what they're not gonna go in there thinking they're just gonna I can just push over Jeffrey Simmons every time and it's gonna be an easy win for us. I don't think they're gonna do that.
Yeah,
I can agree with that.
I have to agree. So I'm with you guys. Let's flip the script. Right, let's run the ball ourselves. You mentioned Devin Singletary, my guy. I know Sean's big on Motor. And, again, I remind everyone, we have a nice bet going on here this year.
Yeah, we do.
Motor, who has the most total yards between Motor and James Cook? And I got to ask you, Jake, do you even think James Cook is going to be active for this game? Do you think they're going to put him out there?
I think you have to activate him. I feel like as a rookie, the worst thing you could do to a guy like that is just have him inactive. I think you got to give him another opportunity. And I get Sean McDermott, not giving him another chance in that Rams game because it was kind of close when he did fumble. And, I understand that. I think he kind of let him sit and think about it a little bit. But tomorrow, I expect to see a little bit more of him and, get him a little bit more involved in the offense. I'd like to see him in some pass-catching situations because I think he can really offer a lot of value there. He's a young Dexter McCluster, another former Titan for you there, Mike. So, I don't think he'll be inactive at all. And I hope I'm not eating my words tomorrow when I say that.
All right. Well, to me, it's just going to be how many more yards is Motor going to pile on? So I have a nice lead on you for this bet. Just like you guys, similar keys for me is just limit Jeffrey Simmons, much like we did Aaron Donald. And Jake, you touched on it, but we have some veteran receivers. We got Crowder, we got Diggs. You can say Isaiah's kind of a veteran there. He's been playing for a few years. We're going against young corners. So let's have those vets take advantage of those young corners versus the other side where other than Robert Woods, they got some new folks going there and going against our young corners. So I think we can definitely take advantage there. And for me, the path to victory for the Titans is no different than the path than what it's been before. Run Henry, play action pass. And let me just say something. I feel like Ryan Tannehill is very underrated. I mean, people just don't say enough about this guy. What he's done against us the last 2 years, and he can move. He's mobile. He can make plays. He can throw the ball. I mean, I don't know. And people don't talk enough about him, but he can make plays with his feet. So again, for me, the path to victory to them is just run like just the last two times. Look at the film there, and that's going to be the same path that they take, I believe. And then they're going to obviously, I think, they're going to have to contain, like you already said, Sean. They're going to have to contain Josh somehow. Josh Allen has only gotten better than what they saw last year, and I mean, my goodness, he's going to take it personally. I feel like he took it personally when he threw his second interception against the Rams, and then he went on and just destroyed the Rams in the second half. And I feel like he's out for a little bit of revenge, and you're going to see. So somehow they got to contain him, get pressure on him. They got so much pressure on him last year, and it's kind of weird, guys. If you think about it, we're talking about our offensive line being so much better. We've added one guy. One guy is different from that offensive line last year, right? And it's Saffold. But you also have Spencer Brown, who's got a little more under his belt. I don't know. I mean, Spencer Brown really hasn't been put into the test. He's coming off some surgery. He did get to start last week. But my goodness, it's going to be interesting to see if we see any Quessenberry this week at all. If he struggles,
he knows that defensive line too. I mean, practicing against them on a daily basis, I'm sure that obviously that gives him an advantage. I think so. It'll be interesting to see if he's utilized or switched in a little bit here and there.
Yeah, and then having like Saffold and Quessenberry to be able to tell, give us some inside information is huge. So those are my keys to both teams' victory. I don't know if I said the I did say the Bills. Flip the script, run the ball a little bit, show what we've been talking about. Double tight end sets. Let's go. Give it to Singletary. Give it to Moss. Let's run that ball. I'm going to say we're going to have somebody over 100 yards. I'm just going to say it.
Wow.
Okay.
Will it be Josh Allen?
It's not going to be Josh Allen.
Okay.
I don't want it to be Josh Allen. But yeah, so that's my call there. I'm sorry, Sean. Did I cut you off? I feel like you were.
No, I was just going to say, how I was thinking of with the defensive line injuries, we might see Shaq Lawson play now.
I think Shaq Lawson is huge too, because he's a really good run defender. That's sort of why we brought him back, and I think he can definitely offer value there. I would not be surprised by that at all.
Too, so
yeah.
So that might be. I don't know why it took me this long to think of it, but
no, that's a great point. Yeah.
So Puka's saying Tavon Austin is on our practice squad. Bring him up. I don't know what role he would fill for this week. I mean, we got Khalil Shakir, and I don't think you need to bring up a Tavon Austin at all, in my opinion. You guys agree, disagree?
I would agree, and I hate saying that because you know how high I was on Tavon Austin coming into mini camp and all that, Mike. I mean, a lot of buzz around him. Maybe he's going to resurrect his career a little bit, but now I think he's going to stay put. Let the young guns come up here and get some work in. I definitely expect to see Khalil Shakir active. I'm hoping he will be.
Yeah. Now here's Big
L.
Does Big L know something we don't with Isaiah Hodgins? He'd have to be activated as well. I know Sean and I kind of touched on that. I just don't see them activate him. I just think they'll make Khalil, because Khalil made the 53-man roster. I think they just make him active and he plays tomorrow. But thoughts on Hodgins? Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say though, but if Gabe Davis is out, Shakir and Gabe Davis are two different receivers. Shakir's short and fast, and Davis is tall and like how Hodgins' build is. So I still think Shakir will be activated, but they might bring Hodgins also just for that big receiver element also, because you're losing that with Gabe. So
that's true.
I want to see Shakir because he should have played last week without a doubt. We don't have to suit 4 running backs, especially when you run 4 times each. That's what really bothered me was we suited up all 4 and we kept Shakir out when he could have contributed to the game. And yeah, Moss had a couple good runs, but he fumbled. James Cook got 1 carry and he fumbled, and they only gave Motor 8 carries. So we really don't need to suit up 4 running backs. So you have to make a choice: sit Moss or sit Cook, and then bring Shakir in every game, because if they're going to sit up 4 running backs every game, Shakir's going to get a lot of missed opportunities this year. And that's one thing I don't like about the organization is they did the same thing with Epinesa, they did the same thing with Boogie, and now they're going to do the same thing with Shakir. You got a great player who you can mold into another to even better player, and then the only way you can do that is with game reps, because practice doesn't do it. And then you sit them on the bench most of the year. Then you go in and make plays, and then you're inactive for 3 weeks, and you go in and you make plays, and you're inactive for a week, and then they pick and choose when they want you to play. That I don't like, because, again, from experience of playing sports or just doing whatever, the more you do something in an actual setting, like a game setting in a matter of sports, that's how you get better. Yeah, going and practice and working hard is going to help you, but nothing beats game reps or watching yourself on the film in a game. So I would really hate to see them waste Shakir's possible talent out there by making him inactive over half the year. But it seems like that's what it's going to be like, because unless there's an injury, because again, they're probably suited up 4 running backs again.
Your thoughts, Jake?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I just looked at I love looking at our lads, guys. This is like my go-to for looking at the team's depth chart and whatnot. They actually have Khalil Shakir listed as the backup right wide receiver behind Stephon Diggs. So they don't have him listed in the slot. They have 2 slot guys listed. That's Isaiah McKenzie and Jamison Crowder. So they actually have Shakir as an outside guy. Now, whether he's going to play outside or not, I think he offers some outside value, definitely. Yeah. He's a great route runner. He's not a burner by any means, but he can stretch the field just in terms of, getting open with the shiftiness and all that good stuff. I think when he gets into open field, he can make plays. Obviously, he's a return guy, so he's used to being, kind of in that type of situation. So he definitely offers value out there. So I would love to see what he can do. I would not be surprised, obviously, like you said, Sean, if we activate 4 running backs, then maybe it does put him like on the back burner again. But with the injury to Gabe Davis, I feel like it's only right to probably activate him and have him in the game at least, a little bit. Or maybe we'll just see higher volume to those inside guys, both Isaiah McKenzie and Jamison Crowder. It'll be really interesting to see how they work that. I'm very curious, but yeah, I mean, we saw what Khalil could do, and for size too, he's 6'1", 190, so he's actually pretty similar size to Stephon Diggs, and that's sort of as of late. I mean, you have those bigger receivers like AJ Brown, and obviously there's a couple bigger guys in the league like Mike Evans and whatnot, and there was starting to become more of a trend when you saw it like in the early 2010 era. I think after that, like Antonio Brown, you started seeing guys like that were starting to be more successful. Those smaller guys, Stephon Diggs, Antonio Brown, a couple other guys like Tyreek Hill, sort of like that 6'1", 190, 200 pound range that are outside guys. So I feel like there's more of a shift now, sort of back to like that Marvin Harrison type size, not so much like the big jump ball guy that can go get it. Obviously, they're super valuable, but I'd rather have a great route runner, a guy that's going to catch the ball every time I throw to him, instead of a guy that's like a boomer bust big playmaker. That's just my opinion on that. I would love to have a guy that's just secure, gets his job done, and can make a play, and when he gets into open field, can make it happen as well. And I think Khalil Shakir definitely offers that value.
I agree.
Yeah, I like what Paul Glover says. I think for ball security, Josh probably needs to be the one who gets over 100 yards. Maybe Paul, I know last week we had both Cook and Moss fumble, and yeah, we cannot have those at all. So for me, I'm very comfortable with Mr. Singletary running the ball. I think, did Moss have a few big fumbles last year? Did he struggle there as well? Yeah, so we can't have that. And my only concern, again, I know Josh is going to be Josh, and he's going to run when he runs. We all just keep, crossing our fingers that, he comes up just fine. So that's my only concern. We did pay, we got Saffold over here. We know we're going to be running some double tight ends, so let's run the ball without Josh. Let's run the ball with some of those running backs. And I think Moss looked good up until that fumble. I mean, he had like 6 catches. He can receive very well. He's that bigger guy, and let's utilize him. I think you'll see Singletary and Moss 1-2 punch, and then maybe a little bit of Cook if he's activated. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I like that. Moss. I'm not saying Moss did terrible. I'm just saying for the little amount we use running backs to suit 4 of them up and take some reps away from a receiver who you value pretty high, and when Jake Kumro is still on your starting receiver list, you probably want to develop a guy like Shakir. And I don't know if they're just assuming that Singletary is not going to be on the roster next year, and they're going to go with Moss and Cook. But even a 3rd round pick, that's just to sit him on the bench all the time and not give him reps. Either run the ball more, or I don't know. It's just I don't know what they're going to do with this 4 running back thing. That's what the struggle is with having the special teamers, because even though I'm not going to ever sit Tywan Jones, but then it takes another running back spot. So now you got to suit 4 instead of 3 because the receiver can't play the special team. So that's where, like, in that position, it kind of just stinks, because I don't know. I'd rather have Shakir out there than a running back who gets 1 carry. And
fumbles.
100%.
1 carry and he fumbles.
I guess maybe because it's the first few games of the year, they might just be trying to figure out who they're going to go with. Maybe. I mean, they might give Cook more opportunities this game and see, what are you going to do? And if you do, don't produce, we might sit you next week, and you got to earn your game reps in practice. That sounds like something that this coaching staff would do. And I don't know. It's just tough because we have so many good players, and you want to see them develop. But I just think you can't develop unless you're playing in the game.
Yeah, I think if, for Cook, let's run the ball with Moss and Singletary. And I know you don't want to tip your cap, but let's get Cook. If Cook is out there, let's get him in that passing game. I mean, that's what's everyone been talking about, how good of a pass catcher is. And we didn't take advantage of that at all. I know it was first carry they fumbled, and, McDermott was probably like, that's it, sit out for a little bit. But Mike Hart, to answer your question, so Gabe Davis tweaked his ankle in practice, non-contact, I believe, is what you told me, Sean. And he was questionable. He was downgraded to doubtful. So highly unlikely that we're going to see him tomorrow evening, which is a shame for sure.
starting to get alarming, I think, with every year he's been in the league as an injury and missed a lot of games. And if he's our number 2 guy, that's when the next man up has to come in effect, because we gotta make a deep run in the playoffs. We got the team to do it, and that's just stinks so early having to face adversity like that. But I think it's a perfect time to beginning of the year. You're playing against a team that's given you fits the last couple of years, but you know you're a better team, so you got to see what the other guys can do. They got to step up, like McKenzie did in that Patriots game, where he went off on them for 13 catches for 125 and a touchdown. You got to have other guys step up when Gabe's not in. So this will be good to see, and hopefully Shakir can go in and earn some more game reps and show what he's worth.
Do we dare even mention Odell Beckham? Like that it's a scenario, like this is a scenario, right? So Gabe Davis out with an injury. You want another guy that's able to just step in and fill that role. Now, I am more in line with keeping the receivers the way they are. Obviously, Odell has tremendous talent, but I mean, I like our team. I like our guys right now, and we haven't even seen what Khalil Shakir can really do. I mean, we saw a little bit in preseason, but yeah, I mean, get him in the game. But it is an interesting scenario, right? Yeah, like you talk about signing a guy like Odell Beckham. Well, look what happened right here. I mean, Gabe Davis goes down with an injury. You get later on in the year, you have the same type of instance. Maybe, first seed is on the line or whatever. Maybe then you start asking questions like, do we need a more, I guess, a veteran guy like that can make an impact right away? So it's just a thought. There was a couple guys in my group chat that were talking about it. So I figured I had to put it out there just for your guys' takes on it too. I wanted to hear what you had to say.
Interesting. Yeah, I see Z-Bell saying no deal for Odell.
I'm with him. I'm actually with him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with him as well. I see, what does he have? William Jones. Looks like we got a Titan fan.
Hey, William. No, and you know what? Hey, I appreciate that. I love seeing other teams' fan bases here because
welcome in.
Yeah, like we're huge Bills guys. But we're open-minded. We'll have a conversation about the other team. We're not going to just be homers. I mean, I predict the Bills to win every game. Don't get me wrong. But we'll also talk about how the Titans can win. I am a little bit, But listen, Mike, I've earned my due respect with this, right? I mean, I can name the backup fullback on the 2001 Bills, Philip Crosby, no big deal, So I'm allowed to say stuff like that, right? So it's okay. I've earned my I sat through a ton of heartbreaking losses. I earned my stripes. So if it's, if I need to predict the Bills to win every game to feel a little bit better, I'm going to do it, So it's one of those things. But William, welcome to the channel. Appreciate your input. We'll see what happens. We're talking about how the Titans could potentially win this game too. So if you missed it, be sure to watch after the show.
Yeah,
hey, Mike. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll get right back to you. I was just going to say, I love seeing some of the new names out here. Cabalogio. I'm sorry. I know I butchered your name. Good to see you. He or she says, no need for him at this point. Josh is so good. He can throw open just about anyone. I totally agree with you there. And I'm sorry. Let me go back to you, John.
I was going to say what Puka said about Hodgins. He doesn't see him on the 53, 3 years, no game experience. But remember, he had a season-ending injury for 2 seasons. So this is his first actual season where he's healthy. So honestly, if you're a coach, you should want him to play game reps to see what you got in him. Because you could let him go, and he can go play for Aaron Rodgers next year and be the next Devontae Adams. You don't know that. I'm not saying he would be. I'm just saying there's a possibility in that if you just don't give a guy an opportunity. So I think an opportunity needs to be given to him at some point this year. He earned it in preseason to make the roster. He didn't make the roster. He took it like a champ. Now he's back on the team, on the practice squad. So I think with a opportunity given, it'd be fair for him because I think he can be a starter in this league. So we'll see.
All right. Well, we're going to get into our predictions, score predictions. But before we do, I just want to remind everyone we have a great giveaway going on from Gorilla Garage Gear. The way you get in, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on any of our shows, including this one. And I don't know if I left the link, but I'll put it in there after the show. The link to the actual video that talks about the giveaway and how you can get potentially more entries will be down there in the description. And before I forget, I always forget, we have a Discord channel. Join our Discord channel. It's so much fun. I mean, we have 3 threads in there. We talk Buffalo Bills, we talk fantasy football, and then we talk golf as well. So join the Discord, For those that don't know what Discord is, hit me up afterwards. I'll walk you through it. It's fun. Anyhow, let's get into our predictions. I see Sean stepped away. So, Jake, let me throw it over to you. Give it to us, man.
Okay, well, before I get into predictions, I just want to mention a couple of comments out there. Timmy, love that comment about Johnny Wilson. I actually watched this dude. He's a freaking stud. He's huge. 6'7", 230, monster. And he doesn't, like, on the field, he's huge and whatnot, but he's very smooth with it. He doesn't look like gangly or anything like that. I mean, he's very fluid. I totally agree with that. Definitely look out for him. Great prospect. I actually, it's funny you mention it. I saw someone already mention him, so I started looking him up a little bit, watched some highlights. I watched some huddle videos and whatnot on him. I like it a lot. That's a great mention. Ian, Zbell84, great point here as well. Just talking about how people get fascinated with the idea of signing a veteran free agent player like that, thinking that they're going to be like prime Odell from the Giants. That's definitely not going to be the case. Obviously, last year with the Rams, he played really well, but he's still not Odell Beckham from 2014 or 2015. So I think you do need to have those realistic expectations. I mean, definitely having the veteran presence and whatnot is huge, but what can they offer you on the field? Are they going to offer you that same playmaking ability that they did, 6-7 years ago? Probably not. So that's a very good point. And I think that's all I got. So let's get into my predictions. Here we go. As far as tomorrow goes, guys, it is our home opener, as you are well aware. The energy here in Buffalo is just, it's felt throughout the streets. I mean, you're driving on the road, you see vehicles. I saw a vehicle today, mentioned it early on in the show. It's you got like an RV. It says Allen Mafia on the back of it. It says Go Bills with a thumbs up and everything. It's got a trailer on the back. You know where they're going. They're going right to a tailgate as it is. And they're super pumped up, ready to go. The energy in the city is like an energy I've never really felt before, and I get it. Like, I think you can get a little high for your britches and whatnot, and maybe you get a little too cocky about it. I think the players, though, are well-grounded. They understand the task at hand. It is the home opener. They want to put on a show for the fans, but I think they're going to get the job done, and I don't think it's going to be one of those cases where it's a trap game. I know it can be. And maybe we do need to be stung a little bit and just kind of brought back down to reality, but let's enjoy the ride. Let's enjoy just a nice trend upward. Listen, the Rams game, we had a couple turnovers. We'll take what we can from that game, learn from it, and get better this game. So I do think we get a lot better in that department. We're not going to put the ball on the ground as much. We're going to run the ball effectively. The O-line's going to play extremely well, Mike. We're going to take it right into the fourth quarter with a nice touchdown lead, and then after that, we're just going to explode because good teams win in the fourth quarter. So my final prediction for tomorrow, I will be there to witness it. I'm super pumped. Cannot wait. I'm going to say 34-20 Bills.
Nice. Okay. So I know the spread, and maybe it's changed. The spread at one point was 10 points for the Bills. And so you're covering that easily. Yep. Sean, let me throw it to you, Sean. Your prediction.
Yeah, well, the spread's 9.5 now, so it didn't change much.
Okay.
But I got 34-17. For my score. I know it's kind of close to Jake's, but
I like it. I
think we'll score a lot, and our defense we were the number one defense last year when we added a lot to that defense, and it's going to be a similar tone this year. At the same time, I know Jake said we might need to get knocked down a peg. We can't afford that this year with how good the AFC is. If we lose a game we shouldn't lose, we might miss the playoffs. That's just how it is now. Like the Dolphins are 2-0 now. I know it's early, but if you screw around and you lose this game and you're 1-1, you go to Miami next week, and then Miami's at riding high, beating the Ravens down, and then become 3-0, and you're 1-2. That hurts. That's a season changing, time. So we can't afford to lose the games we shouldn't lose, and this is a game that we shouldn't lose. We gotta win all those games. We can't have Jacksonville games. We can't have Patriot games. We just can't do that anymore this year because of how good the AFC is. So I think they'll handle business, and it'll be 34-17. And it's just going to be another. I think we'll get at least 4 sacks again. I said 5 last week. We got 7. I'm going to say 4 sacks, and then I might try to give a JA-17 prediction for.
Oh yeah, go for it. I want to hear it. All
right. So to keep in line with the best quarterback in the league, Tua Tagovailoa, he's going to throw 4 touchdowns, 350 yards. And he may rush for 75 yards.
Wow, that's great. I'm happy to hear that for my fantasy team as well. Thank you, Sean.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'll do anything for you.
So for my prediction, I'm kind of with Mike. I made this mistake last year. I went in with our home opener against Pittsburgh, and I'm like, there's no way we lose this game. And we shouldn't have lost that game, and we did. Found a way to lose that game. And, the Titans are coming out 0-1. I mean, for them to go 0-2, they're looking at this like, man, we cannot afford, it's just like you said, Sean, for the Bills, we cannot afford these losses, and they can't afford it. To go 0-2 in the AFC, man, you're going to be in some serious trouble. I know Vrabel's going to bring it. He's going to have his team fired up. They're going to play us tough. I think this game's a lot closer. I know a lot of people, every show I've talked about now has had us covering the 10 points. I think it's going to be closer than that. I think we're going to flip the script and we win 34-31. I think both teams put up points.
Wow. Okay.
And I think it's a lot closer than people say.
A shootout. And
we
shootout. Saw what happened today too, Mike. So, yeah.
Now, if it's pouring rain during the game, that changes things, obviously. But assuming the rain is gone before kickoff, I think they can put up points there, both of them. And, I know we're talked about our defense being elite, upgrade from last year. But, I mean, this is the biggest test. This is the biggest test to see if – and we saw it last week against the Rams with the pressure, with the sacks. Now can we stuff the run? That's where we've always struggled the last few years. This is a huge test. So I'm going to have it closer, 34-31. And that's what I got. What else we got?
I will say, though, Mike, I think they could afford to go 0-2 with their division because they got the Colts 0-1-1, the the Texans 0-1-1, and you got the Jags at 1-1. So they might be able to afford it, but you got to win that division or you're not making the playoffs. So I guess it's a must-win for them because Jacksonville. I thought the Colts would lose, but I didn't think they'd get shut out 24-0.
Yeah, wow. Jeepers.
Trevor Lawrence was basically perfect, 25 for 30. So, I mean, maybe they're turning the leaf. So the Titans got a lot of pressure applied to them now. Yeah,
they're a wounded animal coming to Buffalo, and you know what happens. Wounded animals, they can cause some problems for us. But we have
they run and then they fall and then they die, Mike. So here we go.
Oh, by the way, my prediction, I did say it was a close game. Sorry, Singletary has over 100 yards rushing. That's my call there. Josh will do Josh. You guys have already given predictions, but Singletary will have a big game. Let's see here. Z-Bell saying 27-21. Your dad had it as a big victory as well. Z-Bell had it a little closer, sort of with me. Has it lower scoring, which is probably going to be the case. So you're going to probably be a little closer, Z-Bell, than I am. And then Big Al has them blowing them out 38-10. I hope so. I really do. I hope by halftime. It's always
good for a big blowout win.
Yeah, I hope by halftime we're celebrating. But I'll tell you what, that Rams game at halftime, I was sweating it. We finally came around in the third quarter and took over that game. So all good stuff. Real quick, do you want to touch a little bit on what you saw today? And again, we touched on it a little bit. We saw the Dolphins come from 21 behind and beat the Ravens. I mean, unbelievable. And we saw the Jets get an onside kick, come from behind and win their game. And then, of course, New England won their game as well. So AFC East, let's hope we have a clean sweep. I hope we're the ones. Let's make it 4-0 for the AFC East. But talk to me about what you saw with those Dolphins, Jake.
Yeah, a lot of resilience there. And we saw how much speed can definitely kill. We also saw a complete meltdown from a secondary in the Ravens, who I think, across the board, just on paper alone, I mean, they're one of the better secondaries in the league. I would say at least in the top 5. I mean, you got some pretty good players there with Marlon Humphrey and, Marcus Peters. I know he's coming off injury, but they're two safeties. I mean, you got Marcus Williams and Chuck Clark, and then Kyle Hamilton, the rookie, he made a lot of rookie mistakes today. But, for it to happen twice in a row, too, with Tyreek Hill somehow getting behind those guys, I mean, it just was totally uncalled for. I mean, you want to talk about an absolute meltdown of a game. Lamar Jackson did not lose that game for the Ravens. Their defense did. And I think that's a prime example of just taking your foot off the gas and kind of letting the game get out of hand real quick, because the Dolphins aren't a bad team. They weren't playing necessarily great in that game, but then when the Ravens let off, I mean, they just took full advantage of it, and they they used that speed to their advantage. Mike McDaniel did a hell of a job calling plays for them. And, I mean, 2 receivers over Jalen Waddle had a $171 and Tyreek with a $190. I mean, that's insane. And Tua threw for 6 touchdowns. He put up college numbers. So, it's just definitely. I mean, I think we saw an example of how dangerous the Dolphins can be if we let them. But that's the key, if we let them, because that whole first half, I guess the first 3 quarters, the Ravens were 100% in control of that game. And then they just let off. And 28-3, we see those numbers all too often, the 28-3, dating right back to the Super Bowl against the Falcons. I don't know why it is. It's always 28-3, Mike. But, they came back and absolutely smoked them in the fourth quarter there. So shame on the Ravens, and great job by the Dolphins.
Yeah, if you saw that game there, Jackson, they had 1st and goal at the goal line. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was 4th and goal at the goal line. They go for it, and he fumbles the ball, turns it over. So that was early in the game. That was a big, huge play. And then there was another big 4th down stop by the Dolphins. So way to stay at it. And then I'm going to throw it over to Sean, because I know that he's been talking about Tua being in the MVP conversation this year. So let me throw it to Sean. Talk to me about those Dolphins. I know it's one of your favorite teams. What do you think in there, Sean?
Well, obviously the defense didn't play too well against the Ravens, but the thing with what happened today was if you play man on a team with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, you're going to get beat like that every time. And the Ravens should have known that. I know they don't have Wink Martindale there anymore, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to not play man coverage on a guy that can burn you in a matter of a second. So, and that's what happened. Busted coverage. Tyreek Hill was wide open with 20 yards of separation. And, Tua threw great passes. He had a phenomenal game. Does it make him an elite quarterback? No. Does it make him a top 10 quarterback? No. He had a phenomenal game, and 6 touchdown passes and 500 yards basically is absolutely incredible. I'm not going to take that away from him, but I mean, I have a lot of Miami Dolphin fans that friends of mine. You got to do more than just one time. He's had two times in his career in 3 years against the Arizona Cardinals and now the Ravens where he played like a quarterback, and that's not going to happen every week. He hit the plays he was supposed to this week, because last week when I watched my friend TD Mike, I sent him your way. I think he did a film breakdown of like all the big plays that Tua actually missed. He took the underneath route instead of going deep where they were wide open, and he must have watched the film because this week he answered that. But the Ravens just completely crumbled and folded defensively, and I mean, it was a great win by the Dolphins. I didn't think they'd come back. It was 35-14 at one point, and I was like, oh, all right. So now all we got to do is win Monday, and we'll be first place in the division. And then now, even if we win, the Dolphins will still be in first place because they got the division win. So that just makes week 3 even more meaningful. And we know how we play against the Dolphins. We know Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier know how to scheme against Tua. And, you don't play man coverage against Tyreek Hill. That's just that simple. You bracket them. You play too high safety. And then you got to worry about Waddle and Christian Benford, or Waddle and Dane Jackson, or Waddle and TJ. So it's going to be – they're a good team, like Jake said, but they looked like an awesome team today. I'm not going to take that away from them, of course, but they still got a lot of work to do if they want to take down the champs.
Yeah, it absolutely broke my little kid's heart. Now, as much as you've seen him in those videos that I put out of him cheering for the Bills, the Ravens are his first favorite team, slightly over the Bills, and he was celebrating that game, and then when he saw that comeback happen, just broke into tears. I mean, he is that passionate about his teams, and it just breaks my heart when I see that, because it's very similar to me as well, early on in my life.
Yeah.
So, I lost my train of thought there for a second here, but let's see. I wanted to talk a little bit about. So we talked about the Jets won again, and I know when we did our predictions for the season, we actually, some of us had the Jets overtaking the Patriots in the 3rd spot, but we'll see. So they're both 1-1 now. That was a nice comeback. Well, it's kind of lucky they got the onside kick, but I want to talk to you about the team that looks like is the team that I see us having to get that monkey off our back. The Kansas City Chiefs are looking stellar. I mean, everyone was worried about losing Tyreek Hill. And I'll tell you what, Patrick Mahomes hasn't skipped a beat. If anything, he's now having to survey the field a little bit more. And, I mean, they're looking good. Defense is a step up from last year. And when you have Mahomes, I don't think there was much. Yes, there's a drop-off losing Tyreek Hill. No one can replace that guy on the Chiefs. But with the upgrades on their defense, man, that's just – what week is that? When we playing them? Week 5? Something like that?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I mean, every game we're going to be playing. Think about the Dolphins. And we play the Ravens, I think. And then we play is it Pittsburgh? I know the Ravens is in there sometime. Oh my God. But your thoughts on Kansas City, Jake? What you've seen? Are they surprising you, or are they the same Kansas City team you expected to see?
They really made a lot of adjustments in the second half of that game, because the first half they got absolutely spanked. I mean, just looking across it was still close at halftime, but I mean, the score should have totally been out of hand, and they're lucky it wasn't. There was a couple of plays that, there was an interception, and then, I think the biggest game changer actually in that game was the pick 6 by Kansas City, obviously, but they made a lot of adjustments, and that defense really showed up in the second half. Pat Mahomes didn't have to do a whole lot in the second half. I mean, he's playing with some crazy name receivers. I mean, Justin Watson, and then you still have Juju, who I think caught a few passes, not for much. You have Sky Moore on that team, who's a rookie, and a couple other players out there. And I mean, Travis Kelce, he's still the best damn tight end in the league. I love Mark Andrews like hell, but I still think Travis takes the crown for that one. So definitely a guy that has been a kryptonite to us. We did a really nice job against him in the first game last year when we played against them in the regular season and actually beat them. Saran Neal did a tremendous job, and I think now we have that ability to play a little bit of press coverage, which is a great thing. Jam them at the lineup a little bit, not let them run free like we did in the playoffs. So hopefully we correct that, obviously. But the Chiefs are still the team to beat. I definitely think, for us at least, they're the team to beat. We got to get that monkey off our back, Mike. And until we regular season, I guess it's not as meaningful because we already did that last year. It's really in the playoffs, and if we meet them in the playoffs, we got to be ready for it. But this will be a really good first test, I guess, because they got some players, especially on that defense. Their defense, I think, got better. So especially with George Karlaftis, the rookie,
definitely.
He looks unbelievable. Frank Clark's still on that team, and a couple other guys. Chris Jones, I mean, he looked really good. He was kind of quiet in that first half. Zion Johnson did a really nice job against him. Then they switched sides, and he absolutely dominated that entire second half. So that'll be fun to watch. Roger Saffold v. Chris Jones. I'm really excited for that matchup in the future. But I mean, KC definitely is right up there.
Didn't they draft one of the top corners as well?
Yeah, Trent McDuffie, but he was actually out. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yep. So the rookie that stepped up, actually, Jalen Watson, I want to say it was, who had the pick 6. He's a 7th rounder. Took it to the house, and that was really the game-changing point.
Yeah. So the teams I looked at coming into the year were the Chargers and the Chiefs, and they're still the two teams that I worry the most about. Any other surprises in the league? I mean, it's only week 2, but any other surprises for you? I mean, the big one for me is Cincinnati. I don't know. I mean, they're 0-2 right now. Shocker. Losing to Dallas without Dak. I mean, shocker to me, but I'll throw it to you, Sean. Any surprises right now other than the two teams we talked about, Kansas City and the Chargers, but any other teams making you take a second look there and like, oh, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah. I was going to say, before I said something about the Chiefs, I was going to say I take back saying the Broncos were going to be a top 1 to 3 seed in the AFC. I retract that. So let's just take that off of my spoken words in existence. But so they're a surprise to me. They've looked terrible 2 weeks in a row, and their head coach is a lunatic. I have no faith in this guy at all whatsoever. And Russ is just like an enabler for them. Like they're having all these interviews like, oh, he's a good breakdancer. Oh, he should be a good head coach and not kick a 65-yard field goal when you got 4th and 5 with a $250 million quarterback. But I mean, whatever. But I say the Giants being 2-0 is a surprise to me because I mean I've watched both weeks this time around now, and Dayball is a player's coach. Everyone rallies around him. Everyone loves him. He cares about the team. He's not like Joe Judge and is going to take a knee at a second down and throw all the games away.
I love it.
He actually coaches. The Giants have a decent defense, and then probably by the end of the year they'll be a top 12 unit. To be honest with you, and with Saquon being healthy, that helps a lot too. So I mean, and they have a chance to go 3-0. They play Dallas Monday night with again without Dak, and it was incredible to see them beat the Bengals. And it's just, I want to say I'm surprised with Cincinnati. I still think they'll make the playoffs, but
they look bad.
As I said last year, they didn't even deserve to be in the playoffs when they went 10-7, and then Lamar was hurt for 8 games. So I said that they were a fluky playoff run, and that might be coming to fruition now because even spending $80 million, $70 million on the O-line, they look just as bad, if not worse. And, Dallas has a great defense. They put up, they stopped Brady to 19 points last week, and now 17 points this week. So they got a solid defense. Micah Parsons is unstoppable. No, he made Lyle Collins, and who's the guy from Tampa Bay? He's hurt now.
Alex Kappa.
No, he's on Bengals now. The guy.
Oh, you're talking
the tackle.
You're talking against Tampa. Oh, yeah. Tristan Wirfs or Donovan Smith. Donovan Smith.
He made Donovan Smith look silly, like a JV player. He made Wirfs look bad. He makes everyone look bad. So this defense is good, but the Bengals offensively just, I don't know. That's what's shocking to me is how they're not clicking. Them losing isn't shocking to me, but how their offense is just so blah. I don't know. It's just that was the one thing with them I thought would be they come out firing on all cylinders again. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. I thought these guys were all going to go crazy, but they got a lot of adversity, and not many teams make the playoffs starting 0-2. But I mean, we'll see what this offense does. I guess you got to give the offensive line a chance. Like what I was saying about Tennessee, they have a brand new offensive line. It's week 2. Are they going to be stellar? I doubt it. Again, it just proves it with Cincinnati having all these high tier guards and tackles looking bad. So we'll see. They're my surprise, and so is the Giants.
Okay. Jake, can you give us a real quick update on the game tonight? What's the score?
Let's see here. Ooh, fumble snap here. I'm just watching it. I got a couple TVs going, as you can see here in the background. Looks like there was a fumbled snap. Waiting for the score. 24-10 Green Bay right now.
Okay.
We got a long 3rd and 22, almost into the third quarter here. I think a lot of people had Green Bay winning this game. They look like they are definitely taking advantage of it. I know Aaron Jones scored a touchdown, which is huge because I got him in fantasy.
Same.
Romeo Dobbs with a nice catch there. Probably going to end out the third quarter. And it's 4th down.
You never know. The Bears can catch up. We've seen a lot crazier stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Puka says got 6 TVs going. So Jake, question to you. Same question to you. Anybody kind of like open your eyes a little bit after 2 weeks? I know it's just 2 weeks, but is there any surprises for you other than the teams we've talked about already?
A team that we didn't really talk about much, I guess, is the Minnesota Vikings. I think Kevin O'Connell is going to make Kirk Cousins look like an MVP candidate. And now Kirk puts up insane numbers. He has been over the last few years, but he's a 500 quarterback. And listen, I don't put all that on him. I do think he's a good quarterback, but I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback or anything like that. But I do think Kevin O'Connell is going to make him look like one. And especially with a guy like Justin Jefferson, who's basically going to operate the same way that Cooper Kupp did last year, going to put up similar numbers. He is the best receiver in the game. We saw what he did last week. What was it, like 184 yards or something like that, and 2 touchdowns? He was wide open, just running open somehow. I don't know how you don't defend a guy like that. But they are going to be, I think that team is going to be legit. And any type of game against them, it's going to have to be a high-scoring affair in order to beat them because they're just going to put up numbers. They're going to be very similar to what the Rams were last year. I do think Kirk is less of a turnover machine than Matt Stafford is. I love Matt Stafford. Listen, I gave him his due respect, but the guy throws a lot of picks. So I think they're going to get a hang on that. And I mean, with a guy like Delvin Cook too in the backfield, I mean, they're definitely a dangerous team. So that is one team, I guess, not really a surprise team, but a team to look out for. And I do think, with the NFC North and them being on our schedule, that's going to be a tough matchup for us in the future.
So, who are the Vikings playing tomorrow?
Eagles.
They play Philly, and that's during our game. So that's going to be
that's a good matchup there.
That'll be fun to tune into as well. So if you are watching at home, I suggest if you have a couple TVs, put one with that game on and then the other, however many, with the Bills game on.
You know what I will say? I'm not surprised about the record, but the Lions averaging 35 points a game in 2 games.
How about the Lions? Yeah, let's talk about that.
Better than the Bills offense right now, technically. But no, they're my. I don't have a second favorite team, obviously, but I just love to root for them. I love the uniforms. I love the lion on it. I love the gray.
Great,
I love the blue. I love how they remind me of my high school team when I was a senior. We didn't win any games, but the team just loved everybody. They loved football. They wanted to win more than anything in the world. And now they're, putting together games where they would have lost last year, and they were getting blown out in Philly. They came all the way back like Miami did, but then they just didn't close the door. But now this week, they just dominated Washington, and Washington started to come back. Then they pulled back away, and then they got there was the first time they were favored to win, and I don't remember how long they said. But seeing them put up 35 points a game, basically, that's pretty crazy when you think about it. We put up 31 the first game, but the Lions put up 35, now they put up 36.
Yeah.
They're scoring machines right now.
I was going to say the same thing. They're putting up a lot of points, but they're giving up a lot of points. So that defense is really suspect there. But I mean, every time you see one of their games, the scores come across. Like you said, in Philly, they're getting blown away, but slowly but surely they were getting back in that game. And then today, big lead over Washington, and then Washington starts coming back. So defense is suspect. We do play them on Thanksgiving, so that'll be interesting. Who knows? Could be a 45-31 shootout. We'll see.
Just hammer the over. Anytime the Lions are playing, hammer the over.
Yeah.
And a team that you wouldn't expect. But it's crazy. Like that team, because they're coached by MCDC, you don't expect a high-scoring affair. Listen, I know the guy was a tight end, but he was a blocking tight end mainly. He had one really good year with the Lions where he had like 300-something yards and averaged like 15 yards a catch because he had a couple of long catches. But that guy just embodies grit. I mean, the guy literally wears a hat that says grit on top of it. And his press conference, if you haven't seen it, his initial press conference, he talks about biting legs off and just he goes off on so many great tangents. It's one of the most incredible introductory press conferences I've ever seen in my life. And also on top of that, I think he cries more than Dick Vermeil. I've never seen a coach cry more than Dick Vermeil. I think he's gonna definitely give him a run for his money. But the guy just loves ball. And how could you not love that team? I think after watching Hard Knocks too, a lot of people sort of fell in love with that team. And especially Ian mentioned Malcolm Rodrigo. He's the second highest selling jersey, I believe, right now for the Lions, which is insane as a 6th-round pick. They cut Jarrad Davis, who's a really solid linebacker. He was a 1st-round pick for them a few years back. And they had a lot more faith in Rodrigo. So they're doing their damn thing over there, and they got a nice young team. I do think it's going to be one of those cases where they're heartbroken again, where maybe they're like 9-8 or 10-7 and just missed the playoffs. But I love where they're going, and I definitely feel good for that fan base. And just with the ties that Ralph Wilson has to Detroit, I think it's a good alternative team to root for if you're not rooting for the Bills or not watching them on a particular day.
Well, Jake, you guys got to know the NFC isn't like our conference. So 9 wins or 10 wins 10 wins for sure, but 9 wins might sneak you in.
Right. With 7 teams too. Yeah.
Yeah. I got them as my sneaky pick to make it.
I like it.
I mean, some people got Philly going to the Super Bowl, and I was just like, I don't know. I mean, they're great, but
I don't know.
I mean, I've noticed. Devonta Smith the first week got 0 points in my fantasy league, and he was like the number 1 receiver last year, and he's not even getting targeted. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess with AJ Brown, you're trying to feed him, of course, but I mean, Miles Sanders is finally healthy, so that's great. I mean, their defense is pretty solid too. I mean, they'll be a good team. I just don't think they'll, I think the Rams are going to make it for the NFC, but I mean, a lot of people are high on the Eagles, so I guess we'll see how this Monday night game plays out, which would be very interesting. I'm not going to watch it, obviously, because I'll be watching the Bills game,
Yeah.
But I mean, we might be able to watch part of it, right?
Yeah, it should be televised. So at the Bills game, it should be on like the local channels. So I think it'll be on ABC, but they may have an alternative broadcast for the Eagles and Vikings game. I think they have to for nationally televised games. I mean,
Oh yeah, it'll be
I
on
feel
like
like
I stream off Hulu. It'll be on there.
yeah, I feel like they gotta have that televised somewhere, right? I mean, it would be dumb not to.
I'm just
All right.
hoping it doesn't like switch from the Bills game started, now it's 8:30. Now we're gonna switch to the Eagles game.
Oh no, they would never do that. They
No,
would never do that.
no. Well, that's kind of a wrap for us, guys. I mean, I want to say thank you to everyone that's been out on the channel. I love seeing all this interaction. I've seen some new names. Greatly appreciate you. Again, if you're new to the channel, which I don't think most of you are, but if you are new, comment, like, and most importantly, drop a nickel on that subscribe button. Get into the giveaway. Join our Discord, and Jim Kelly.
That's pretty awesome. There you go.
My guy right there.
My friend gave it
guy.
to me.
I actually have
nice.
a little mini of Jim Kelly as well, and I have this amazing, I haven't shown it yet, but a framed shirt with all the great players in the 90s signing it. But
Wow.
Good stuff. So Jake, tell me, what time you head into the game tomorrow?
I'm thinking about tailgating right now. Actually,
Oh,
Mike.
do they open
Why
this?
not?
I took off, so I'm ready
All
to go right now. To be honest with you, but no. So our office, we do a tailgate right there. I mean, we're right down the road from the stadium, so it's a great location. They actually gave us a remote day tomorrow, and pretty much said, yeah, I mean, we'll be tailgating for the most part tomorrow. So I'm assuming not a whole lot of work is going to be getting done per se, you know. So yeah, I'll be there pretty early. I don't know exactly what time. I'll have to text my buddy just to see what time he's heading over there. But I know right now, I mean, there's people tailgating as we speak. So yeah, it's this is Buffalo, man. This is what we do. And home opener, I mean, it's huge here. It is a religion. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped. I'm super excited. I will be taking some videos, Mike. So we'll have some good shorts to be posted to the channel, and I might do a little short game day vlog. I don't know. We'll see if the people are interested in that when we post it. But yeah, that'll be good.
I think we got to put up 50 in the home opener, to be honest with you.
Oh, that'd be amazing. We should have put up 50 last week. And can I say this too? I will say, out of all the teams that have been playing, as far as how they've looked, I think every team, there's like a little bit of a hole within that team. We talk about KC, like they didn't really look great in the first half against the Chargers. Obviously rebounded in the second half, but just across the board, I didn't feel like any team wowed me as much as the Bills did. And that's just not being a homer or anything like that. But like outside of those stupid turnovers that we had, like we played a near perfect game. Like Josh had one bad throw where the timing was off. But outside of that, I mean, the guy, he was perfect. I mean, he looked better than arguably one of his best career games. I mean, that's how good it was. And the team across the board, I mean, we just looked so damn good. The play calling was great. The turnovers hurt a little bit, but I really think that's what stopped us from I mean, we destroyed them as it was, but I thought it could have been way worse. And we could have definitely dropped 50 on that Rams team. So, yeah, I mean, just across the league right now, I feel like there really hasn't been a team that's impressed me as much as the Bills. So we'll see if that continues tomorrow. I'm hoping it does.
Yeah, I actually like scaled back a little bit because I saw the Rams kind of struggle against Atlanta. I believe they played today.
Yeah,
they didn't blow them out like I expected them to. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. Maybe the Rams aren't to the level that you would expect from a Super Bowl team. We'll see. To me, let's put two together, one game at a time. Let's get this one tomorrow. You'll be there, Jake. Ryan will be out there, our winner from our last giveaway. Hopefully, you guys can meet up. But please bring us home a win. I'm wearing the Josh Allen jersey. This is the second time I've broke it out. It's 1-0. I expect this to be 2-0 tomorrow. So let's go. Let's keep it rolling. Sean, appreciate you as always. Head on over to the Red, White, and Bills and check out Sean's content. And then we're going to start doing some breakdown, some film breakdown to both of us, Red, White, and Bills and our team. So we'll be looking at I see a lot of folks break down games afterwards, but we're going to break down film from the opposing team that we're going to be playing in the upcoming week. So we're going to figure out what night that'll be, but we'll get it done. And it'll be a lot of fun. So, guys, thank you so much. And again, the folks out in the channel, get into that giveaway. And the rest of you three, go Bills, man. we'll talk tomorrow. I expect a
Bills.
lot of chatting back and forth tomorrow. Let's go.
Hell yeah, baby. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.